Hello and welcome to lesson 99 of the Learning Guitar series. In this particular lesson, we're going to continue looking at finger picking, and we're going to delve into even more patterns that we can encounter and we can build some music with. Let's have a look at the PDF. So as we did basically for part 2, we have 8 new patterns, and as you can see, some of them, this time they're in 3/4, you have 6/8, some 4/4, and as with the previous lesson, first, we study them individually, and then we apply them to the chord progressions A, B, C, D, E, and F. In this case, I kept the chord progressions themselves the same as the previous lesson, as I'm assuming by now you probably will have interiorized those chord progressions, and this will simplify the assimilation of these new patterns. Let's go through the pattern one by one. I'll show them to you. Here's pattern number 1. So, as you can see, this is basically a C chord. Now, so far in lesson 2, we always used 4 fingers, while this pattern basically is using 3 strings at a time. There are 2 ways you can practice this. The first one is where you have the thumb playing the C notes of the bass, and index and middle finger are playing the rest of the pattern. And then the thumb is switching to the next string and playing the E note. And again, and so basically the index and the middle finger are basically never changing string, but the thumb is. Instead, if you want to still use 4 fingers, in this case, the C note is played by the bass, by the thumb, while the E note can be played by the index. In this case, the other 2 notes, the constant one, are actually played by the middle finger and the ring finger, this way. And I think it's a good idea to actually practice it both ways. Here is pattern number 2. Also, this is in 3/4. The way you count it is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And as you can see, this is a nicely sounding. Again, apply to all the exercise from A to F. And here is pattern number 3. This is a straight 3/4 pulse. The only difference with the previous one that now we're using 4 strings. So the thumb is taking charge of the bass, and then index, middle, and ring finger on the rest of the strings. If we apply to progression A, and of course you can loop it. Pattern number 4 is also a 3/4 tempo, but this time it's played in 8 notes. It's a very common pattern. So basically, each finger is in charge of 1 string. And again, this is a very nice sounding pattern. Pattern number 5 is a 6/8 type of tempo. Again, very similar to 3/4. If you think about it, 3/4 times 2 is 6/8. In this case, we're still using 3 strings in this case at the time, like with pattern 1. So we'll practice it 2 different ways. First, with just thumb, index, and middle finger. And the second time, instead of using the thumb to cover 2 strings, 2 bass notes, we're going to use 4 fingers instead. So here is with 3 fingers, it sounds like this. And here is the same pattern with 4 fingers. And here, for example, let's use with 3 fingers. This is what progression A sounds like. Pattern 6 is in 4/4, and it's a very common one. And here it how it moves. And here it is applied to progression A. Pattern 7 is also in 4/4 and develops an idea that we already looked at into lesson 2. In this case, basically what we're having is the thumb and the ring finger playing simultaneously on the one of each bar, and this gives us a sense of like a melody happening on top of the harmony created by the arpeggio. Let's have a look. This is the pattern. And here is applied to progression A. Pattern 8, we're back to a 3/4 tempo. We're doing something similar to what we did for pattern 3. Pattern 3 was basically this. In this case, we're combining a 3/4 tempo in this kind of pattern with the idea of playing thumb and ring finger at the same time to create a melody. So first we're playing bass and melody, so on the outer strings of the pattern. And then with index and middle finger, we are highlighting the harmony in the middle. So it sounds like this. This separation, so we have 4 strings, and on the one we're playing bass and melody, while on the beat number 2 and beat number 3 we're playing the middle strings, so the middle part of the chord. Kind of gives even a better separation of this idea of melody and harmony and rhythm happening at the same time on the guitar. Let's apply this to progression A and you'll see. I hope the instructions are all clear, anyway, the PDF is quite explanatory in that sense. So enjoy the lesson, and until the next time. Bye.